The most powerful force in your life is not what happens to you, it's what happens within you. This single realization, though profound, escapes most people entirely. Yet every individual who has risen from nothing, every person who has transformed their circumstances, first understood this fundamental law. Your inner world creates your outer world, always, without exception. Picture your mind as an architect's workshop. Every blueprint drawn there eventually becomes a building in reality. Some architects sketch prisons of limitation, doubt, and fear. Others design palaces of possibility, courage, and achievement. But here's what most never grasp. The workshop is always creating, whether you're conscious of it or not. Your thoughts are not random visitors. They are the architects of your destiny. Each day, each hour, each moment, you're either building your future or dismantling it. You're either constructing strength or reinforcing weakness. The choice is yours, but choose you must, for neutrality in thought is impossible. The mind that isn't deliberately directed will be directed by circumstance. Let me be direct with you. Mental mastery isn't about forcing happiness when life brings pain. That's delusion. Life will test you. You will face storms. But mental mastery means developing an unshakable core that remains steady regardless of external weather. It means building thought patterns so strong that temporary setbacks cannot destroy permanent vision. The journey begins with recognition. You must first see the conversation happening in your head. Most people live decades without ever truly listening to their internal dialogue. They remain passengers to thoughts that were never consciously chosen. Old programming runs on repeat, fears inherited from childhood, beliefs absorbed from others, limitations accepted without question. But you must become the observer. You must step back and ask, who is speaking in my mind, and do I agree with what they're saying? Once you observe, you must decide. This is where power lives. Not in the first thought that appears, that's often automatic, but in the second thought, the response, the direction you choose. When doubt whispers, you can amplify it or answer it with conviction. When fear shouts, you can surrender or stand firm. Every response is training. Every choice is conditioning. You're either strengthening the voice of victory or the voice of defeat. Consider this truth. Champions are not born in stadiums. They're forged in the quiet moments when no one watches. When the alarm rings at dawn and everything in them wants to sleep. When failure strikes and everything in them wants to quit. When criticism cuts deep and everything in them wants to retreat. In these moments, unseen and uncelebrated, greatness is built thought by thought, choice by choice. So the question becomes, how do you forge such a mind? The answer is daily discipline. Not occasional effort when inspiration strikes, not random attempts when life gets difficult. Daily, systematic, intentional. Just as a blacksmith must heat metal repeatedly to shape it, you must work your mind consistently to transform it. Begin each morning by setting your mental compass. Before the world's chaos enters, before obligations pull you in 10 directions, claim those first moments. Declare your intentions. Review your purpose. Visualize not just what you want, but WHO you must become to achieve it. See yourself responding with strength. See yourself persisting through difficulty. See yourself becoming. This isn't wishful thinking. This is mental programming. Athletes visualize perfect performance before competition. Surgeons mentally rehearse complex procedures. You too must rehearse the thoughts, responses, and behaviors of the person you're becoming. Repetition creates neural pathways. What you practice in mind, you'll execute in life. But morning ritual alone isn't enough. Throughout your day, you must stand guard at the doorway of your mind. What thoughts will you permit entry? What beliefs will you allow to take root? You wouldn't let strangers ransack your home. Why let random thoughts ransack your mental space? Be selective. Be protective. Be intentional about what occupies your consciousness. When negative thoughts arise, and they will, don't fight them directly. That only gives them energy. Instead, replace them. Have ready an arsenal of empowering thoughts. When I can't appears, immediately counter with evidence of when you have. When it's too hard surfaces, remind yourself of harder things you've already overcome. This isn't denial. It's strategic thinking. It's choosing which thoughts deserve your attention and which deserve dismissal. Remember, your mind believes what you tell it repeatedly. Tell it you're weak, it will find evidence. Tell it you're capable, it will find proof. Tell it you're growing stronger daily, it will make it true. The mind is remarkably obedient to consistent instruction. But you must be the instructor, not the student of circumstance. Now let's address the foundation beneath all achievement: belief. Without belief, even the strongest thoughts remain powerless. Belief is the electricity that turns potential into power. But where does belief come from? Not from hoping, not from wishing, but from evidence you deliberately create. Start small. Set a minor goal and achieve it. Then another. Then another. Each victory, however modest, deposits proof in your mental bank. I said I would, and I did. This evidence accumulates. Soon, when you declare bigger intentions, your mind doesn't doubt. It remembers your track record. It trusts your word, because you've proven trustworthy to yourself. Too many attempt massive leaps without building the staircase of belief. They declare enormous goals while their mind whispers, "But you couldn't even maintain a simple habit." This internal conflict sabotages everything. Instead, build belief systematically. Prove to yourself, step by step, that you're someone who follows through. Let each kept promise strengthen your mental foundation. But belief requires specificity. Vague desires produce vague results. I want more tells your mind nothing. I will increase my income by 40% within 12 months. Through specific actions gives your mind a target. The more precise your thinking, the more powerful your focus. Clarity transforms wishful thinking into strategic planning. Write your intentions. Make them visible. The act of writing forces clarity. It transforms floating thoughts into concrete commitment. Review them daily. Let them seep into your subconscious. When your mind knows exactly where you're headed, it begins noticing opportunities others miss. Resources appear, connections form, not by magic, but because clarity creates awareness. Yet even with belief and clarity, nothing manifests without action. Here lies the great divide between dreamers and achievers. Dreamers perfect their plans. Achievers perfect their execution. Dreamers wait for readiness. Achievers know readiness comes through action, not before it. The trained mind doesn't wait for motivation to act. It acts to create motivation. It understands that movement generates momentum, that small actions trigger confidence. That progress, however slight, feeds the very belief that makes greater progress possible. This is the upward spiral of achievement. But action without persistence is merely a good start. Anyone can act once. Anyone can push briefly. But sustained achievement belongs to those who continue when continuation seems pointless, when results are invisible, when obstacles multiply, when everyone else has quit. This is where mental training proves its worth. Persistence isn't stubbornness. It's strategic endurance. It's adjusting methods while maintaining vision. It's learning from setbacks while refusing to accept them as final. The untrained mind interprets difficulty as a stop sign. The trained mind reads it as a detour sign. Same obstacle, different response. That difference is everything. You must decide before challenges arise that quitting isn't an option. Make this decision when you're strong, not when you're tested. Pre-commit to persistence. When difficulty comes, and it will, your decision is already made. You don't debate. You don't negotiate with weakness. You simply continue because that's who you've decided to be. Through this process, discipline becomes your nature. Not forced discipline that exhausts you, but trained discipline that empowers you. The difference is profound. Forced discipline fights against your desires. Trained discipline aligns your desires with your destiny. You no longer need to force yourself to act correctly. Correct action becomes your preference. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens over nights, many nights, countless nights of choosing growth over comfort, of selecting progress over pleasure, of prioritizing tomorrow's strength over today's ease. Each choice rewires your mind. Each decision reshapes your default setting. Eventually, something remarkable occurs. What once required enormous effort becomes effortless. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Your mind, now trained, operates at a different frequency. It solves instead of worries. It creates instead of complains. It finds ways instead of excuses. At this level, you discover that success isn't something you pursue. It's something you attract by who you become. When your thoughts are disciplined, your actions aligned, your persistence unwavering, success seeks you out. Opportunities find you. The right people appear. Circumstances shift in your favor. Not by luck, but by law, the law of trained thinking. But here's what few understand. This journey transforms more than your circumstances. It transforms you. The external achievements, though significant, pale compared to the internal evolution. You become someone who can handle success, someone who won't crumble under pressure, someone who creates value wherever they go. The trained mind doesn't just achieve goals. It transcends limitations. It doesn't just solve problems. It dissolves the thinking that created them. It doesn't just reach destinations. It enjoys the journey because it knows growth is the goal. Achievement is simply evidence of growth made visible. As you progress, your relationship with challenge transforms entirely. What once threatened now teaches. What once discouraged now develops. You begin to understand that life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. Every situation, every setback, every success is perfectly designed to develop the strength you'll need for what's next. This perspective shift is profound. You stop resisting life's curriculum. You embrace it. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what's next? You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and start seeing yourself as a student of success. Everything becomes useful. Nothing is wasted. Even failures fertilize future victories. The mind, once trained to this level, operates with remarkable efficiency. It wastes no energy on complaint. It invests everything in creation. While others exhaust themselves fighting reality, you work with reality to shape something better. While others drain themselves in drama, you direct yourself toward destiny. But mastery demands maintenance. The mind, like any powerful instrument, requires consistent tuning. You must continue feeding it quality thoughts, continue challenging it with worthy goals, continue protecting it from the mediocrity that surrounds you. Comfort is the enemy of continued growth. Satisfaction is the beginning of decline. So you keep pushing. Not from dissatisfaction, but from understanding. You know that growth is life's purpose, that expansion is your nature, that the moment you stop developing, you start declining. There is no neutral. You're either growing stronger or growing weaker. The trained mind chooses strength, always. This choice compounds daily. Each disciplined thought adds to your power. Each controlled response builds your character. Each persistent action proves your commitment. Over time, these small choices create an unstoppable force. You become someone who doesn't hope for success but expects it, not from arrogance, but from evidence. The evidence of your trained thinking. Others will call it luck. They'll assume you had advantages. They'll credit everything except the one thing that matters. You trained your mind while they let theirs wander. You disciplined your thoughts while they indulged theirs. You persisted while they paused. The difference seems subtle daily but becomes enormous over time. And in the end, standing where you once only dreamed of being, you'll understand the ultimate truth. The journey was never about the destination. It was about who you became along the way. The goals were just tools to forge your character. The challenges were just weights to build your strength. The entire process was designed to reveal one thing. When you master your mind, you master your life. This mastery is available to anyone willing to do the work. Not easy work, but simple work, daily work, consistent work. The work of choosing thoughts that serve rather than sabotage. The work of believing when doubt seems logical. The work of acting when hesitation feels safe. The work of persisting when quitting seems sensible. This is your invitation, not to an easy path, but to a worthy one. Not to a comfortable journey, but to a transformative one. Your mind is waiting. It's ready to be trained, shaped, directed toward whatever you dare to dream. The only question remaining is this: will you accept the responsibility of mastery, or will you accept the regret of mediocrity? The choice is yours. The time is now. Your trained mind awaits.